Members of the Council, ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding for the Deputy Mayor of Chorley, Councillor Gordon France.
Good evening, councillors. Please be seated. My name's Gordon France and I'm the Deputy Mayor of Chorley. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome back to the Council Deborah Platt. Welcome back, Deborah. I'd also like to take this opportunity to congratulate the two Allans. Councillor Alan Cullens on becoming Chairman of Lancashire County Council. Well done, Alan. And of course, Alan Whittaker. 14 years is it, Alan, since you were on the County Council? Well done, Alan. Members of the public are welcome to observe the proceedings on YouTube. Due to regulations surrounding vote, only those members physically present are able to vote. When you're speaking, please speak towards the microphone so everyone can hear you. Please do not obstruct your mouth to ensure that anyone lip reading can do so. If anyone is having an issue, please let Democratic Services know. Some housekeeping. We're not expecting a fire drill, so if the alarms sound, please exit the way you came in. It's for real. Please ensure that any mobile phones are switched to silent. If the technology fails, I will adjourn the meeting and try and resolve the issue. Apologies for absence. One obvious one, Tommy Gray. I think we'd all figured that one out, haven't we? Matthew Lynch, Joan Williamson, Zara Khan, Kim Snape and Jenny Whiffin. Minutes of the meeting on Tuesday, 18th of July. This item is for decision. Are there any issues? I assume everybody's had opportunity to read it, to raise on the accuracy of the minutes. Councillor Bradley, can you please present the minutes?
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I'm going to struggle with that all night, and I'll do my best. And can I just mention, on the apologies, obviously, congratulations from the whole council, I'm sure, to Zara Khan on the birth of a baby. And I think we all, would rather be, I suppose, Haseen actually, and Sammy would rather be here than at home tonight. The noise and the mess and everything else going on. But also, Mr Mayor, echo your sentiments to Councillor Platt. I'm interested that Councillor Platt, the new Councillor Platt, is on the back row, not the front row, but we'll see that one sort itself out in the Platt kitchen.
You go to the back
The Liz Truss left, I think, personally. Okay. Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Can I propose that the minutes of the meeting held on the 18th of July are taken a true and correct record? Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Wilson, I believe you're going to second it.
I did, Mr Deputy Mayor.
Do we need to go for a vote? Can we have a vote, please? For? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Declarations of interest. Members are reminded of the responsibility to declare any pecuniary interest in respect to matters contained in this agenda. Are there any declarations of interest? I thought you were going to declare an interest then, Danny. Mayoral announcements. A Mayor's charity cricket match. Thank you to everyone who took part and supported the Mayor's charity cricket match earlier this month. It was a fantastic event with glorious weather and a great turnout from councillors, officers and the local community. The victors that night were the council officers. The final score was councillors 241 runs to council staff 287. The evening raised more than £400 for the Mayor's chosen charities. And yes, I hope to be doing it next year. Mayor's Christmas Tea Dance. Following the success of the event last year, I will be holding a Christmas tea dance in the Lancastrian on Wednesday the 6th of December from 1 p.m. The afternoon will include dancing led by Jason Parkinson with tea, coffee and homemade cakes. All proceeds will go to the Mayor's chosen charities. Further details will be circulated nearer the time. Number 4, public questions. There are no public questions submitted. Five, Executive Cabinet. This item is for noting, and the pages are 55 and 58 in your follow-up pack. Councillor Bradley, please can you present the report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I propose that the minutes of the Cabinet meeting are approved as a true and correct record? Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Councillor Wilson, please can you second?
Seconded, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
This item is for noting. I will now invite members to make any comments. Councillor Ricketts.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Just a brief question. Page 55, paragraph 3. I just wondered if the leader or deputy leader could confirm when the last time the general fund reserve stood at the recommended £4 million at the quarterly reporting point. Thank you.
At the £4 million, of course, was the budget setting, which you'll recall, Councillor Riggett, we were on the 4 million. In fact, we were just over. I think we were on 4.2 at the time of the budget. Obviously, now the provision for the potential overspend takes it down to a projection of £3.5 million. But that's a projection for forward to the end of the year. We will see what it is, of course, at the end of the financial year. But that's where we stand as it is today.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I'd like to present the report for noting.
Can you please second?
I'd like to second that, Mr Deputy Mayor.
I will now invite members to make any comments. Moving on. Overview and Scrutiny Committee and Task and Finish Groups. This item is for noting. Councillor Riggett, can you please present the report?
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I'd like to present the report. Councillor Lees will second it in a moment, but I just wanted to draw Council's attention. We had to a couple of items in it, if I may. We had an excellent presentation from Councillor France regarding the new hospital programme. There was a great Task and Finish report presented by Councillor Ainsworth and others as well. And one item I think that was of interest to members is we had a very strong and robust debate about the timing of the local plan, and we were assured that it was absolutely still on time, and we weren't to worry about that. So that was, I thought that members would want to hear about that. Thank you.
I will now invite members to make any comments. Right, moving on. Scrutiny Report Pack, Chorley Council's annual report on overview and scrutiny. This item is for noting, and Councillor Riggett, please can you present this report?
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I'd like to present the report, and I just would like to thank Councillor Lees and former Councillor Walker for their work for this, because this is ultimately their report from last year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Riggett. Councillor Lees, will you be seconding this?
Yes, I'd like to second.
I will now invite members to make any comments. Moving on then. Committee appointments. This item is for decision. Chris, can you confirm the results of the recent by-election?
Yes, Mr Deputy Mayor. So members will be aware that there was a by-election for the borough seat last Thursday, and I'm pleased to report that Councillor Deborah Platt was duly elected.
Thank you, Chris. Councillor Collins, please can you present this item?
Thank you very much, Mr Deputy Mayor.
I would like to congratulate Deborah on her re-election, and as a result, could I propose that Deborah be appointed to the following committees, maybe on a temporary basis, but for the following committees. It's Overview and Scrutiny, Planning, Licensing and Public Safety Committee and the Local Planning Working Group. And could I also ask to note that Councillor Craig Southern will be the Shadow Planning spokesperson. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Councillor Alan Platt, please can you second?
I'm very happy to second that, Mr Deputy Mayor. For how long, who knows?
I didn't see an eye, Fallon. Can I invite members to make any comments? Moving on.
Do we need to vote on that one?
Or we need to vote on that, do we? 4. Members 4. Against? Abstentions. I suppose you've got to, Deborah, haven't you? Moving on. Polling station relocation, pages 35 and 38. This item is for decision. Councillor Wilson, please can you present this item?
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. So as the paper sets out, this is to relocate the polling station which currently exists at the St Peter's Primary School. As always, Mr Deputy Mayor, we attempt to avoid using schools where possible because we do get requests from head teachers to say that obviously it is disruptive. Sometimes that's not possible, so there are still polling stations throughout the borough that are schools, but where it is possible, we look to relocate. So in this example, we are relocating the St Peter's polling station to St Joseph's Parish Centre, which already has one polling station there, but given the size of the centre, adequate ample car parking, and within a couple of hundred yards of St Peter's School, it seems to make sense to move the station there, and therefore I'm happy to propose this item.
Councillor Bradley, please can you second?
Happy to second that, Mr Deputy Mayor.
Can I invite members to make any comments? Now this item is for vote, so all those for? Against? And any abstentions? Thank you. Going a lot faster than liaison this. Members' allowances. Members' allowances, appointment of independent remuneration panel, 3942. This item is for decision. Councillor Bradley, please can you present this item?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And members will be aware the council has an independent remuneration panel, very hard word to say,
It is.
to basically set a number of things, but mainly allowances for councillors and independent members, etc. And therefore it's quite an important role, if not for that external scrutiny. It's a panel, as it suggests, with a number of people, but over the years the number we've had on previously has dwindled as people have stood down and retired and found other things to be doing, and therefore we need to appoint some new members. We've been searching for quite a while as it goes, because we've asked a lot of people and a lot of people have not really bitten our hand off at the offer, but we have successfully found 3 people who I personally am happy to endorse, and I'm sure many members here would, because 2 of them you'll know pretty well, most of you, who are Phil Davis, our former elections officer, who here at the council and is now stood down and retired from the council, and also Diane Gradwell, who's the CEO of Citizens Advice Lancashire, based just along the road at on Market Street there. And then the third proposed person is Lorraine Norris, the former CEO of Preston City Council, who I certainly got a lot of time and respect for, always was an excellent officer when she was in that role at Preston. So I think we've got 3 good proposed members of our panel there. The second item of recommendation is to reappoint Dennis Benson, our long-serving chair of that panel. Again, a well-known local guy who worked for a long time in a senior role at Leyland Motors, or Leyland DAF as it became. And the third recommendation is that the panel be requested to consider a new role within the Members' Allowance Scheme to review the annual uprate mechanism and make recommendations on any changes to the scheme for council approval. So that's their first role, really, to do that alongside our our officers when they go and speak to them. So happy to make those recommendations. We appoint those 3 people, Chair, not least so they can get through the backlog of allowances that have built up over the last time, particularly as we are in a state of flux with the pay, because our allowances are linked to the pay award that council staff get, and as you'll be aware, council staff are still in dispute with the unions, so it's all slowed down anyway between them and the government, etc. So happy to endorse that and make that proposal. Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley. Councillor Wilson, please can you second?
Happy to second, Mr Deputy Mayor.
Can I invite members to make any comments? No, we're all right. Please can we move to vote, and the recommendations are at paras 2 and 4. All those for? Against? Abstentions? Right, that's voted through. Number 12, changes of working group name and updated terms of references, pages 43 and 46. This item is for a decision. Councillor Bradley, please can you present this item?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Members will be aware that we have a working group, working committee that is was known as the wholly owned company. That was something of misnomer because it wasn't, but it was a committee that looked at the developments that the council was undertaking and our assets. Obviously, through time, we are not developing as many sites at the moment, although we have got some developments ongoing, but we have more assets. So there has been a view of taking a change in focus on that committee, changing its terms of reference, which the members of that committee have been consulted on, and both parties who form the council have been consulted on, and basically coming up with a new committee structure, new terms of reference, a new focus, and therefore, Mr Deputy Mayor, a new name. So the previous committee was, and that's the first recommendation, to change the name from the wholly owned company, or the WOC, as we affectionately or not affectionately called it, and to replace it with a new group called the Development and Assets Working Group, or as our Chief Executive likes to call it, the DOG. So we've gone from the WOC to the DOG. The second recommendation is to approve the updated terms of reference for that group, which have been discussed within that group and have been done by email with councillors. Hopefully they are in agreed terms of reference, but like many of these committees, as it goes through its work, it will no doubt change and come forward with amendments in due course, but we'll try it out on those terms of reference in the report. Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor.
Councillor Wilson, please can you second?
Happy to second.
Can I invite members to make any comments? Councillor Collins.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr Deputy Mayor. First thing to reflect on this as a sign of an age is the person who will be standing in for the chairman on that, the deputy dog. Sorry, couldn't resist that one.
Try that.
Yes, try that one. I very much welcome this report, and I do hope when the committee actually meets it's a little bit better attended than the last one was, wasn't it, Alistair? Yes. You and I were the only 2 people there. I think everybody else was door knocking. So we had a very good quality meeting, I think would be the first statement. I think very much we welcome this because there's some confusion of what the previous committee was there to do and what it actually was achieving. I think this will look at, most importantly, is that we can look at each of the assets in turn, those that are producing, and to see a clear and very comprehensive profit and loss. So we more than welcome this.
Have we any other comments? We'll move to the vote then. The recommendations are in paras 2 and 3. All those for? Against? Abstentions? Moving on. Leisure Company additional support. This item is for decision. And Councillor Wilson, I believe you're going to present this.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Yes, so the report in front of members states where we are in terms of the Leisure Company, and unfortunately, of course, the climate still remains exceptionally challenging for leisure centres. We know that, we can read that, we can see that, and surely we can see it everywhere else in the country. But what that means for us, Mr Deputy Mayor, is that the financial pressure that the leisure company is under means that we now believe we have to bring this report to council today in order to approve this additional funding so that the leisure company can continue to operate for the forthcoming year. Now, just to explain, Mr Deputy Mayor, just some members can recall, and obviously members of the public watching, we did, back in February at the budget time, put in a provision of £680,000 to, in order to deal with the rise in what we predicted, the rise in utility bills, which of course we've all experienced, and the increased pay award as well for staff wages. Now, since that time, unfortunately, while the prices have gone down very recently just by a small amount, we have still experienced significant rises. And at the same time, of course, the government support that was in place is going to end. So, of course, we've now got that pinch of the end of support, but the fact that the prices haven't come down anything like what we had hoped and what I'm sure everyone else had hoped. So while support's still there for domestic users, of course, it's not there for non-domestic users. So that's one factor. And the second factor, of course, is that we did budget for the pay award. And again, as it stands where we are today, that is going to be exceeded because it looks like the percentage increase that we make reference to is not going to be what's agreed. It's going to be a flat sum of £1,950, which of course is in excess of what was budgeted for. So they're the two sort of real pinch points here, Mr Deputy Mayor. And of course, the income that we receive at the Leisure Centre has gone up. It has gone up. We are seeing those numbers coming back. We're seeing, in fact, people swimming gone beyond where we were pre-COVID, but not in terms of the overall use of the centre. And again, while it's gone up as much as we wanted, Mr Deputy Mayor. So, of course, we feel the pinch. And therefore, what we're proposing tonight is to approve a sum of £1.2 million to see the company through to the March 2024. But what it doesn't say in the report, Mr Deputy Mayor, but I do want to make reference to, and I'm sure Councillor Murray made it in some more detail, I think Councillor Cullen's raised it at Exec Cabinet last week, is that this gives us the time to get that plan in place as to how we really re-energise and refocus in terms of getting people using the leisure centres, what our plan is to raise income, what our plan is going forward in terms of how we actually manage not just Chorley, but of course we've got Clayton, we've got Brinscall as well, which as we know is closed at the moment. So we've got to have all those things in place. This gives us that time. I'm sure we all want to continue up with the provision, so that's why we're proposing to do what we're doing. But like everything, we'll be working exceptionally hard to raise those income levels. Let's hope the pay award does get agreed soon, at least then we know where we stand. And likewise, let's hope the utility bills either come down, or maybe there is some assistance perhaps that can be provided. And as it also mentions in the report, Mr Deputy Mayor, we've applied for funding as well from other bodies such as Sport England. So again, maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, something will come in there which will again relieve the pressure slightly on ourselves. But we need to get all those things lined up in place in order to make sure that our leisure centres are viable for the future. So on that basis, Mr Deputy Mayor, I knew I was going to make the mistake sooner or later. Mr Deputy Mayor, I'd like to propose this report.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Councillor Murray, you're going to second this, are you?
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I think I've said both in this room and to individual members. With the leisure centres, it does seem to be one thing after another. We get one thing sorted and something else happens. Speak a bit slower. Oh, sorry. I have said both in this room and to individual members that with the leisure centres it is quite tricky and it just seems to be one thing after another. However, we have made some progress. When Active Nation left, they took the software with them, they took the membership details, they cancelled everybody's membership, direct debits, didn't communicate with the membership. So, that's quite challenging to get up and running, so to speak. We now have 3,500 members. And we have an app that you can book online, which isn't ideal, but it is functioning. So it has been difficult and it will continue to be challenging for some time. Yeah, I think we have to acknowledge that. It's well documented about health and well-being and exercise. And I think we all want good quality, accessible, affordable leisure facilities for all our residents. But we have to bear in mind that this is going to be extremely difficult for us all. And when Councillor Cullen's raised at Cabinet about scrutiny taking a role, I think that is quite essential, really. I always find going to scrutiny actually quite helpful, and I think we could do with all the help we can in this situation. So I'd like to second the report.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Can I invite members to make any comments? Councillor Rigger.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I only had one brief question, and I do apologise if it's in the report, but I couldn't locate it. Where are we actually taking the funding from? What reserve or what budget line? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I was going to mention that. You're quite right to raise that point. So the reserve was created at the last budget to deal with this. So we did earmark some funding, but that was going to come from that from that same reserve, which is the point that Councillor Cullens asked last Wednesday, but I didn't have the notes in front of me at the time. So I apologise there, Councillor Cullens, but I can answer it. It's coming from this specific reserve rather than from the general balances.
So this item's to be voted on. Can we please move to the vote, and the recommendations are at para 2. All those for? Against? And any abstentions? Questions asked under the Council Procedure Rule 8. No questions have been received. To consider the notice of motions given in accordance with the Council's Procedure Rule 10. No notice of motions have been received. To consider petitions, if any, presented in accordance with Council Procedure Rule 23. No petitions have been received. Exclusion of the press and public. This item is for decision. Councillor Bradley, please can you propose the exclusion?
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Can I propose that we exclude the public and press at this moment to consider the reports in part 2? Thank you.
Councillor Wilson, please can you second?
Seconded, Mr Deputy Mayor.
Now I've got that we needed... can we please stop the recording? We need a vote on this, though, don't we? Yeah. All those for? Against? Abstentions? Please can we stop the recording? Right, okay, we're done.